Are we live? Oh, all right. I think we're live. I think I should receive. Oh, yeah, there you go. I've got a notification on my phone. Okay, perfect. Um, all right. Good morning. I mean, it's noon here, so I guess good afternoon. Whatever. Hello. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope you're all doing good. All right. So I've done most of everything that needed to be done when it comes to the city builder prototype. The last thing, if I remember correctly from last stream, that we needed was to finally implement the resources system. And so hold on, let's open up Paint like I love to do, just because it's easier that way. So we had the number one, it's resources mechanic, right? Then number two would be population mechanic, right? And then if we have time, I'd like for number three to do, what's it called? To do, oh my god, I'm blanking out on the word. Oh yeah, tech tree mechanic, right? And so like honestly, once we're gonna be done with all three of these, I think I'm gonna have shown to you guys how to do most of like the core gameplay for a city builder. Yeah, yeah. I know you want walls, red herring. I might try to show you how to do it today if we have time. The only problem is that it wouldn't really work with the design. So let's press play. It wouldn't necessarily work the mechanic you're asking for. It probably wouldn't work design wise for this type of game, basically. So let's just, oh, all right. Hold on. Hold on, let me just look at it like that. Okay, yeah, so these ones are just deeper in. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, hold on. Oh, interesting how it's not. Okay, there you go. That's interesting how the other, what are they called? Only the tiles that have actual resources on them have their height updated. Interesting. So I'm gonna have to fix that bug first, probably, just for the sake of everything. But yeah, so basically what I meant is that because this is grid based, yeah, so because this is grid based, that mechanic isn't, how can I say, it's probably not gonna work with this type of design, but that's why we'll see either tomorrow or next weekend, but preferably I'd like to start it tomorrow. I'd like to start doing a MOBA prototype, because like after this prototype we're gonna start doing RPG prototypes, but there are so many different types of RPGs that the prototype in question that I'm gonna start doing is a MOBA, just because I think MOBAs are like the most bare bones basic RPGs, like to the point where they can barely even be called RPGs, right? It really depends on the MOBA as well, right? But I'm thinking of League of Legends, where like there's gold, there are items, there are levels, so it's like borderline an RPG, right? So I'd like to start with a MOBA just because it's really the easiest and simplest one to make. And from there, we can use that structure to make actual RPGs and stuff like that, right? And so probably in the MOBA prototype, I'm gonna do the wall mechanic that Red Herring was talking about, where you click somewhere, let's say here, and then here. So this is point A, point B, and it's gonna create a wall like that, right? Now, as you can see, that's the problem, right? It's like, because it's grid based, it's not good, it can't be in a straight line, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying like it probably wouldn't look good with this specific prototype, basically, right? Okay, so now let's just go here and fix, is it the player manager? Nope, it's the grid builder. Okay. Okay, and this here also. Before starting, a quick question: will you make a struct stream in the future? I checked that, and it's an interesting feature on its own. Honestly, maybe I might do a struct stream eventually, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't really used struct, so I need to learn it first. That's why I haven't done, like, again, like the streams I'm doing is like with such basic stuff, right? Like really such basic stuff to just show people how much you can do with so little, right? That's kind of the point of these streams. And eventually, once we're gonna, like, we might get into a bit more fancy stuff, but again, it's like I'm fully self-taught. So like that's why I don't know all of the actual proper terminology, and that's why I don't know a lot of things. Like for instance, right? A switch statement. I've used a shit ton of switch statements from the very beginning, right? Like we probably have some switch statements. Yeah, here's a switch statement, right? I only learned yesterday in a Devon stream like that this was called a switch statement, basically, right? So that's just to show you how um like how not sheltered, but like I guess isolated I am from all the real terminology and stuff like that, right? Okay, generate resources, let me just see. All right, so here we have generate resources. Okay. Set up current tiles elevation. There you go. Okay, so that's what was missing. Set up tiles elevation. Okay, there you go. Okay, now let's now that we've added this, hopefully it should work. Let's see. Where is our grid builder? Okay. Oops. Oh, nope. Guess it's not. Yeah, it's still. Oops. It's still not fully working. All right. Let me just hold on. So here, blah blah blah. Set up current grid tile. Blah blah blah. Current grid tile. Oh fuck! I'm stupid. Okay. Okay, I get it now. God, I'm so stupid. Yeah, okay. Okay, I get it now. Okay, so what I need to do is, so let me explain, right? Because right now I'm just like talking to myself or whatever. Okay, so basically in this while loop, this is where we populate the trees. This is where we populate the stone, but we pick a tile at random, right? So that's why the elevation is only set up for these tiles, right? Let me just actually do this, right? Boom, like that. set elevation. Okay, hold on. Or actually, no, no. I'm gonna take all of this. Yeah, we're gonna remove it actually. So yeah, so here basically I'm only setting up the elevation for these specific tiles, right? Now instead what I'm gonna do is simply do a for loop, basically like this, right? Hold on. A for loop like that. So go through every single tile and set up their elevation. Okay. Oh, whoops, no, for, there you go, like that. So for loop index 0, grid tile objects list, blah, blah, blah. Let's just do this like that. Grid tile object, loop 0, bada bing, bada boom. There you go. And now hopefully it should be fixed. That's fine. I'll add to the list of streams you owe us together with the special edition debug. Oh, bro, that is never gonna happen. Synth is gonna stream DMC before the debug stream ever happens, unless I'm debugging my own game right now. but that, who knows, right? Okay, so let's see now. Hopefully the elevation should work. Hey, there you go. Okay, hold on. Okay, is it working? All right. Now it's weird. So clearly, okay, this one is less so. Jesus, but yeah, this is still very weird. Huh. Okay, interesting. So what broke here? Generate resources. So what was the old? Set up current tiles. Go through every single land tile and activate the resources when applicable. Blah, blah, blah. If elevation level range 0 to 3. Okay. So just give me a second here. Here I'm gonna say if elevation level. So hold on. So if current grid tile dot tile type equals 0, which 0 was a land tile, then let's see. Hopefully this should fix it. Hopefully. Okay. Come on. Hey, there you go. Okay. So now it's fixed. Perfect. Now exactly, it's fixed. So this thing here, normally it wouldn't, like it would have gone down, right? It would be at the same elevation as the rest of this, but because it's a land tile and I programmed it so that all land tiles are at the very minimum at this height, it got boosted up basically. Like that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, see another example of one that's like way higher than it should be. Same here. All right, there you go. Okay, very interesting. All right, so now that this is done, more or less fixed, again, like the grid isn't perfect, but the point of these streams is not to show perfect stuff, right? Like, because that's the thing, right? Like the point of these streams is to really show what actual game development is like, right? Game dev, it's not what most tutorials show you, where it's like a 15 to 30 to at most like 45-minute tutorial, right? But typically it's more like 15-20 minutes or whatever, where they just show you how to do one specific mechanic, right? Like how to make a jump mechanic or whatever, right? And then you're just like left to your own devices basically, right? It's not like that. It's to really show you what the whole process is and to show you that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? Like doing game dev, it's like going to the gym, right? Like you can't expect to go to the gym for 2 weeks after New Year's Eve and have met all of your goals and have gotten in shape and now everything's good, right? That's why most people quit like 2 or 3 weeks in, right? And it's the same thing with game dev. Like a lot of people, and this is why I did the Steam Next Fest review video. It's because a lot of people put out shovelware that they made in like 6 months, right? And and then they get frustrated that they barely sold anything. It's like, well, of course, like your game is undercooked basically, right? Like it's anyways. Like you, nothing good is ever easy, right? So that's why you need to put in the work, basically. Yeah, well, yeah, it's rush game, but it's also like this is a mentality that can apply to all spheres of life, right? Like if you have the mental constitution to keep working on your game, despite having real life stuff like going to work, doing whatever, right? Well, then, like this is a skill you can use in every other area of your life, right? Like you can go to the gym even when it's raining outside or when you're tired and you don't feel like going or whatever, right? Like you can still overcome hardships even though it's not necessarily easy, you know? But yeah, so okay, so now we have this. So now we were talking about the resources. Okay, so if I remember correctly, if we go all the way up here into our resources, do we have it? Or where is it? Oh no, right, because this is the grid builder, I'm stupid. It's the player manager. If we go up, aha, okay. So we have 5 resources, which is population, food, lumber, stone, and gold. Let's see. Okay. So, do we have a structure manager? Okay, perfect. We have a structure manager. Okay, amazing. Here's this structure's costs list. Okay. Okay. Oops. Header. Resources variable. Okay, and now here, how are we gonna go about doing it? We only ever have 5 resources. So let's say, oops, yeah, public integer, this pup number, okay? So number of pub inside this structure, okay? Then we have public boolean, and we're gonna say can produce food boolean is false. Food production, production equals 0. Public int food upkeep equals 0. And then we're just gonna do the same for the other 4 resources. So public boolean can produce lumber boolean. Okay. Public integer lumber production equals 0. Public integer lumber upkeep. Public boolean can produce stone boolean. Okay, let's do it like that. Public int stone production, stone upkeep, amazing. And then the last one is gold. So public boolean can produce gold boolean, like that. Gold production, gold upkeep, amazing, perfect. Okay. So the idea that I have for how I'm gonna do this is, again, because I mean our prototype that we're making right now, it's grid based, right? And I'm thinking of having an approach similar to what's it called, to like civilization, right? So just give me a second, okay? Oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, voila. All right. So because we're grid based, right? I'm thinking of having an approach similar to civilization, which let me just give me a moment. Civ 6. Okay. To Civ 6. Okay, let's say this year. An image. Okay, perfect. So you see how you have the different tiles, right? So here we can kind of see it. It's a little difficult, but we can see it's a hex grid, right? Ours is a square grid, right? But basically, you only really build one thing per grid, right? Or per tile, I should say, right? So here it's like some sort of district. I forget what it is. Some kind of district. Here it's like an industrial or mining district. Here I think that's a scientific one. Here are farms, etc., right? I think here's like a religious one, etc., right? So that's kind of the idea I'm going with for this prototype, just because it's simpler, right? Like, again, keep it simple and stupid, right? And so that's kind of the idea I'm going with here, right? So, but obviously mine is a square. It's a square grid rather than a hex grid, right? So here, what I'm thinking is, in the grid builder, okay, once we're done like implementing all the resources and stuff, right? Like right now we only have stone and trees. I'm probably not gonna add food and gold just because it's like, if you want to add them, just do the same thing I did for trees and stones, right? But then like add gold basically. But the idea is simple. It's like um, uh, once a tile is found to be producing a certain type of resource, right? Then that resource can be exploited from the tile, meaning that whatever structure you place on it, the boolean like can produce food, is going to become true, at which point whatever food production number is, it's gonna generate it every something, right? Based on a timer we're probably gonna put in the game manager, right? Hold on, let me just see. Is this the game manager? Okay, yeah. All right, so let me just, oops, go here, go into our script, city builder, and create a new script, which we're gonna call game manager city builder. Okay. All right, so let's see. Now it's importing the assets, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's see here. Fuck's sake. Okay, there you go. Let's see. Okay, make this into a singleton. Make this into a singleton. Except here it's going to be game manager CB. Game manager CB instance. There you go. And then here we're just gonna do the exact same thing as this, like that. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So now this is set up. So the idea, okay, where were we? Structure manager. Okay. So the idea here, okay, is we're gonna have to create a script or a function or whatever, some code that's going to how do you say, like, that's going to detect the type of tile we're on, right? And either prevent you from placing a tile or rather from placing a structure on a specific tile, right? Because it's like incompatible or whatever, or well, actually, now that I think about it, yeah. So okay, so the idea is with the raycast or whatever, right? Like with the player manager script, right? We're going to detect if the tile. So let's go to grid tile here. Okay, yeah, exactly. So it's gonna detect, does it have trees? If it doesn't have trees, you cannot place a lumber mill, for instance, right? If it doesn't have stone, you cannot place a quarry, right? If it's not a land tile that is green, then you can't place a farm on it, for instance, right? Stuff like that, basically. Okay, so first let's fully set up our structures, right, to make sure that that works. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to set up the code in the player manager that's going to um, detect the type of tile we're talking about and whether or not the player is able to place a specific structure on said tile, right? And then once that's done, I guess we're going to integrate the population if we have time. If we don't have time, we're going to do that tomorrow. If we have time, we're going to integrate the population mechanic. And then, yeah, that's probably going to be more or less it, right? So here, let's say public void resource production. Yeah, resource production. Okay. Production. Okay, and now here, hold on, we're gonna have another public void called resource upkeep. Okay. And resource upkeep is gonna be very easy. It's gonna be no, hold on. First, I'm not done. We have this thing here. It's a game manager, blah blah blah. Okay. So here we're gonna do variables for interacting with other scripts. Private game manager CB. This game manager CB script. Okay, and now in void start, this game manager CB script equals game manager CB. There you go. Perfect. Oops. Okay, there you go. So here, literally, no. Okay. Before I continue with these, I need to set this one up, right? I need to set up my game manager script. Okay. Or should it be in the player manager script? Player resources list. Okay, yeah, it's in the player resources list. Yeah, so it's actually going to be better if I do it here. Okay. Structure manager. Oops. Private. Player manager CB. This player manager CB script. Oh my god. Okay, there you go. This equals player manager CB. CB stands for city builder, just in case anybody's confused. Okay, we can erase this. We can erase this. Okay. Okay, and so now, okay, so let's see, food upkeep. Okay. Lumber upkeep. Stone upkeep. And gold upkeep. Okay, there you go. So let's start with food. It's very simple. It's gonna be if this population number is greater than 0 and food upkeep is greater than 0, then let's say integer is going to be total food upkeep equals 0, and then we're gonna say total food upkeep equals this pop number times food upkeep, right? Okay, I think I can remove the parentheses. There you go. And then literally all we have to do is player manager script dot players resources list. It's 1, right? Because it's 0 is population, 1 is food, 2 is lumber, 3 is stone, 4 is gold. So players resources list 1. We're gonna say minus equals total food upkeep. Bam, that's it. That's literally how you do upkeep, right? So that's one part of the population management or population simulation mechanic, right? Which is basically like, here's how you calculate the upkeep, right? So now, literally, you just copy paste it for all the other resources, right? Boom. Except here, we're gonna say lumber upkeep, stone upkeep, gold upkeep. There you go. And then here we're just going to rename this to total lumber upkeep, total stone upkeep, and here it's going to be total gold upkeep. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then gold, stone, lumber. Yeah, so there you go. Boom. So that's the upkeep. Right? Like it's super simple, right? Like because here we're getting into the way more easy parts of the development, right? Which is like just transferring data from one place to another and doing like some very basic calculations, right? So this type of stuff is why city builder games are not that difficult. The more difficult part, once again, it's like the procedural generation of a grid based thing or whatever, right? That's more or less the more interesting part, right? Okay, so okay, so now resource production. Resource production is gonna be similar, right? It's gonna be I guess, yeah, I guess we could literally use the same logic, right? Like, so for instance, depending on how many people are working, let's say in a lumber yard or in a quarry or on a farm, it's going to determine how many resources are going to be produced, right? So we're literally just going to copy paste and say like that, right? And replace upkeep with production, right? Stone production, gold production, there you go. And here instead of food upkeep, it's going to be food prod, lumber prod, stone production, gold production, there you go. And now here we're just gonna rename this to total food production. Total lumber production, total stone, Jesus Christ, total stone production, and total gold production, and gold production, stone production, lumber production, food production. There you go. And then here, instead of minus equals, it's literally just going to be plus equals. Plus equals, plus equals. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so again, like we're keeping it really simple and stupid. Again, like if you want your game to be a bit more complex and stuff like that, you can start adding a bunch of other things here for in the equation, basically, right? You can add modifiers, like for instance, if we're talking about food, maybe your game can have some sort of, well, as we said, like seasonal stuff, right? So like weather, mechanics. Actually, I'm gonna try to get those working as well, right? But this might be for tomorrow, actually, for tomorrow's stream, because I don't think we're gonna see if we have time, but we probably won't have time today for that. So if hopefully like tomorrow, I'll be able to add like the weather type of mechanics. Okay, so anyways, so this here basically increases the player's resources by however much, right? And then this here lowers the resources by however much, right? Depending on the different upkeeps, basically, right? And then, so we have the resource production, we have the, okay, we have the, all right. Yeah, we have the resource production, we have the resource upkeep. So now let's do the placement, the structure placement. Where is it? Is it player? Okay, player manager here. Okay. So now let me place. So can place new structure, can afford structure, public bool structure is compatible with tile bool. Okay. All right. So let's see. Can place new structure, can afford structure. Okay. So hold on. Let's do it like that because it's gonna be easier to see, right? Oops. Compatible structure is compatible with tile equals true. Oops. Okay, there we go. Synagogue is true. Jesus. Oh my god. All right. Shut it down. Okay, I would have a different view on the kinds of structures that should be found. Oh my god. Oh lord. Okay, structure is compatible with tile, boolean. Okay. So structure placement manager. Okay, so here we're moving, blah blah blah. No overlapping with other structures. Then see if player can place structure during this frame. Okay, yeah. And also check if the player can afford it. And lastly, check to see if the structure is compatible with the tile. Okay, so current structure manager script, have that. Current grid tile. Okay. So hold on. So let me just see in the raycast CB manager. New structure placement. It's player manager dot current placement area type. Grid tile. Current grid tile. Okay, current placement. Okay. And do I have access in this script to my raycast manager? I do. Perfect. Okay, so do I set it up anywhere here? No. Okay, so we're gonna say current grid tile equals raycast manager dot placement area object dot get component grid tile CB. Boom. Grok or ChatGPT for game design? Probably Grok. If we're talking game design, Grok. If we're talking debugging, ChatGPT would be my thing, right? The one I'd go with. Okay, so here we have the grid tile, right? And can afford structured boolean. Okay, so here we're gonna say if so food compatibility. Okay, food compatibility, we're gonna say if current grid tile dot land subtype is greater than 0, which means it's either 1 or 2, which, if I remember correctly, let's go back to our prefabs. City Builder prefab. That's the land tile. That one is 0. Yeah, so arid land is 0. Normal land is 1 and 2, right? So if we go back here, if it's not arid land, if it's normal land or fertile land, then it's going to then it's going to it should be compatible basically. So here we have if the current land tile is not arid land, but it is a land tile, right? Because it can't have, so here, as you can see, right, it's not a water tile, so the subtype is -1. There's no subtype, right? Similarly, if we click on like a water tile, it's the opposite, right? There's no land subtype, right? So in other words, I don't need to have multiple conditions here that says like, oh, is it of type land and does it have the specific land subtype? I can just immediately go to the land subtype, right? So these are tricks to just make things faster and easier, right? And then here I'm gonna say current structure manager script dot can produce food boolean is true, then boom, right? Okay, so okay, hold on. Now I'm thinking about the logic, right? So here, in theory, if we want to check the compatibility, what I was thinking is we can do something like this, right? Where it's like the boolean is initially false unless it meets certain specific conditions, which make it true, right? Okay. So first, let me add a few things to the structure manager that I did not think about, right? So core tower variables. Okay, can place on land bool. Can place on water bool. Okay, let's see. Oh, whoops, no, not here. It's player CB. Can play. Okay, can place on land. Can place new structure. Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is directly if can place new structure bool equals true. There you go. Okay, there you go. Perfect. All right. So that's kind of what was missing in my logic, because I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, but right now I'm creating a compatibility check. But what if you want to place a house? A house should be placed on any type of land, but it doesn't produce food, it doesn't produce anything, right? So then what the fuck, right? But this now, just by adding this thing here, right, it kind of fixes that problem, right? Because now we know we can place a new structure, right? But we're also checking to see if the compatibility is good, right? So in other words, so let's say if, so actually what I think I'm gonna do is, because this checks the most important, let's say, compatibility factor in our logic that we're designing, right? This here checks, am I placing a land structure on a land tile or a water structure on a water tile, right? So if this is true, it means I'm already placing the right type of building on the right type of tile. And now here we're just checking if, like, I want to place a farm on arid land, for instance, right? Well, that's not going to work, right? So in other words, what I'm going to do is instead of starting with the Boolean at false and then checking if it's true, right? I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to start the Boolean at true, and I'm just going to filter through all the potential scenarios that it isn't compatible, basically, right? So here we're going to do is compatible with tile equals true, right? Like that. And then here it's if the current land type is lower than 1, land subtype is lower than 1, which means if we're trying to place a farm on land, but it's a water tile, well, first of all, this should probably be false, but let's assume somehow it's true. It's still not going to work because the land subtype is not going to be, it's going to be -1. So, okay. And can produce food equals false. Let's say, we're going to say compatible equals false. Okay. Because for now we're only gonna have farms, right? Eventually I'm also gonna have like fishing areas or whatever, right? Well, that's the logic. I'm probably not gonna do it in the prototype, but the idea is it's basically a farm on water, right? So that's kind of the idea. So here we have food compatibility, lumber compatibility. Okay, so if current grid tile dot has trees, or I'm trying to think. I'm like, should we use the logic where it's true all the time and then we only do it false, or okay, if has trees, hold on. Yeah, okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna do it this way, right? So here it's gonna be false. So if lumber compatibility, fuck. Oh my god, I hate this. Okay, so which way should I go, right? Because the idea is we don't want the compatibility to fuck to prevent us from being able to place normal structures that don't need a tile compatibility, right? So if lumber compatibility, so has trees equals true, and oh Jesus, okay. Current structure manager dot can produce lumber equals true, No, okay, I figured it out. Okay, I just figured it out. So can produce food. Bool doesn't need compatibility. Bool equals false. There you go. Perfect. Okay, there you go. That's a solution. It's probably not the most optimal solution, but I mean it's gonna get the job done, right? So basically, after we've done all the compatibilities, I'm gonna put this one here. It's do this. No, so make sure current structure is compatible if it doesn't require any compatibility, right? So if current structure manager dot doesn't need, yeah, is true, right? Then we're gonna say is compatible is true. Okay, so structure is compatible with tile, else, boom. Okay. Although, yeah, because this is where, okay, hold on. Let me just Google something. All right, or ChatGPT is gonna be easier. Okay, could you show me how to do a basic switch statement in Unity? Okay, allows you to execute different code, switch case. Okay, so string character class, void start, okay, case, warrior, debug, break. Okay, switch character class, checks the value of character class, each case matches a specific value, break. Okay, yeah, it matches a specific value. Okay, hold on. So could a case be could the case contain more than one value, as in could it be what do you call it, a sort of if statement? Question, single case label cannot contain multiple values or act like an if condition. However, there are ways to handle multiple values, complex, which case yes, why, yeah. Oh, interesting. It's functionally similar to if input equals yes, input equals. If you're using C#7 or higher, you can use switch with a when clause. Yeah, I think I've used some of these. Very rarely though. Case int and when. Interesting. Okay, so this is definitely interesting. Let me just check. Should we do that, or should we just keep it with an if-else statement? If-else. Okay, hold on. So we're just gonna do it like that, right? Okay, we're gonna erase this. Fuck it. We're gonna keep it simple and stupid, right? So food compatibility, this like that, right? If this is false, check this. So it's if it has trees and the current structure can produce lumber, then same thing here, right? Then here we're gonna say stone, right? Stone compatibility has stone boolean, can produce stone boolean, boom, and then this, right? And hold on, fuck's sake. Okay, like that. Let's see, gold. Okay, Now here, we're just gonna disable this because we don't have the has gold yet. Has gold bool, right? Can produce gold boolean. There you go. Voila. So make sure current structure is compatible, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we have the compatibility done. So now let's test it out, okay? Structures are obviously still not going to be producing resources, but the point remains. So let's say this here was our lumber mill, right? So we're only going to test it with our lumber mill can produce lumber. And let's say lumber production is going to be 5 and lumber upkeep 0 because that's where the lumber gets produced. So of course it's going to have no lumber upkeep. Okay, so now let's see. So now in theory, okay, once all of this is done, more or less, right, let's click this, like that. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's not letting me place stuff here. Oh, doesn't seem like it's letting me place it on areas with trees. Let me see. Where's my player manager? Structure is compatible. Oh yeah, because it doesn't register whether or not the structure is compatible. Can place a new structure. Okay, it's not telling me that I can place one. Interesting. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so the reason why it's not working, right? The reason why this here is not, basically all of this here is not working is because this thing, it never becomes true, right? Yeah, can place new structure, else false. If new structure placement boolean equals true, and structures overlapping is false, current placement area type is 0 and can place on land, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yet this seemed to be working a second ago. Let's see, right? Let's just like that. Let's just remove what we just wrote. Oh, what the fuck? Ah, fuck's sake. There you go. So stupid. Okay, come on. Finish. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Now let's see if can place new structure gets updated as it's supposed to, which would indicate that the problem is specifically there, right? In this new type of code. Okay, can place new structure. Can place new structure. Okay, but can it afford it? Done. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, interesting. Okay, so now it's not letting me place. Oh yeah, because the compatibility thing is false. Oh, fuck's sake. This is exhausting. Let's say. There you go, like that. Now let's test it again. Oh my god. Ever so tiresome. Okay. Now it should work. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now they're working. All right. So let's see where the error is here. Okay, let's see where the error is. Okay. So can place new structure equals true, right? Structure is compatible, structure is compatible, structure is compatible. Okay, yeah, so we're not directly interacting with this thing anywhere, right? So, is it? Okay, come on. Jesus. Okay. Okay, so, right. Okay, so that's working now. So then if I just activate this, okay, now let's see. Okay, let's let it load. Okay. Okay, can't place new structure, blah, 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 is not compatible. Okay. Okay, so I have literally no idea why it wasn't working before. What the fuck? Okay, cool. So my logic was perfectly fine. It just didn't want to work. Make it make sense. See, now it says compatible. If you look here, right? Oh, it's compatible because it's on top of woodland, right? Oh, it's not, right? Etc., right? So now let's check with this thing here. Let's make it can produce food. And food production, let's say 5 again, right? And let's say it has 2 lumber upkeep. And this thing, let's say it has 2 food upkeep. Let's keep it simple. Or let's say 3 food upkeep to make it more interesting. Oops, not production, I'm stupid. 3 food upkeep. And this, not lumber production. Lumber upkeep. There you go. All right. Save. And then this one, let's say it doesn't need compatibility. Save. Nope, not this. Okay. Bro, Unity is trolling me. So stupid. Yeah, Alright. So now in theory, the blue one here should be like a farm, right? So if we were to try and place a blue one here, see compatibility not working. If I were to move to the light green stuff, oh, now compatibility is working. So now I can place these farms here, right? And if I were to do this, oh, now all of a sudden compatibility isn't working. Now it is. And I can place lumber mills. And then here, for the water stuff, see, because it doesn't need compatibility, I can place water structures wherever I want, right? Boom. Perfect, simple, easy, right? Now, let's see. game manager, blah, blah, blah. Let's say variables used for interacting with other scripts. Okay. Private player manager CB. This player manager CB script. Okay. And let me just see here. Let's go up here. Because now we're actually going to start putting in the code that's going to make the resource production and upkeep actually happen, right? Because right now, if you look here, I've put these functions here, right? Like the resource upkeep and resource production, but I didn't put them in the update, right? The reason why I did that is because it would be stupid to create a timer in the structure manager script, right? And to have every single structure individually run a timer, right? When it's the same timer for all of them, right? They're all gonna be producing resources at the same speed, basically, right? And so the idea is very simple, right? Instead of each individual structure having its own timer and then doing the resource production followed by the resource upkeep, right? Instead, I'm gonna have the game manager, right? To here, so hold on. Core variables, public float, resource update timer f equals -1, and then public float resource update time elapsed f equals 0.0 f. There you go. And here it's very simple. We're gonna have a public void update resources function. Okay, and here we're just gonna have update resources function like that, and then here it's whenever timer expires, update players resources. Okay, here void start, hold on, let's do this like that. Void start, this player manager equals player manager cb.instance, boom, there you go. So now here we're gonna do if time elapsed is lower than time elapsed plus equals time dot delta time, else if there you go, time elapsed is greater or equal than this, then first we're gonna do this minus equals timer f like that. Finally reset the timer. Okay, and then here we're gonna do we're gonna do a for loop. Okay, we're gonna do for integer loop index 0 equals 0, loop index, so while loop index 0 is lower than player blah 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 dot okay, we don't have a structures list. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so let's create a structures list. Game manager CB could also limit the current number of buildings by type as well. For example, it can limit the number of mill tiles to a maximum. Well, yeah, it could. So that's the thing. So the idea is that the game manager script is really, this is like the most high level stuff. When I say high level, it's like the most macro stuff, right? Like this type of script should only handle the really big stuff and the really general stuff, right? So for instance, the game manager you could even program it to interact with the grid builder, right? Or in fact, what you could do is you could technically take the whole grid builder script, right? And technically add it to the game manager script, right? And basically you take the whole grid builder script and it becomes a function of the game manager, for instance, right? But at this point, it's like it's not really. It's just optimization based on, or not even optimization, but you just structure your code however you prefer, right? Structure buttons list. Okay, so we have a structure buttons list, but we don't have. Okay, we have a player's resources list, right? But we also should have public list of type game object called structures list, really, just, or structure, because we have structures placement prefabs list, structures prefabs list, and then structures placed list. There you go. Voila. Structures placed list. And so where is the time where we spawn a structure? Newly placed structure. Okay, we're gonna immediately structures placed list dot add newly placed structure object. There you go. So immediately after spawning a new structure, add it to this list, right? And so if you were to have a mechanic, if you were to have a mechanic where a structure gets destroyed, you simply remove it from this list, for instance, right? So here it's like subtract said structures resources based on its costs. Yeah, gain access to the grid tile. Update the update said grid tiles visuals. There you go. There you go. Okay. Where were we? Yeah, so here we added it here. So let's go back to our game manager. And now here, placed list dot count loop index 0 plus plus. There you go. So here we have our for loop. Okay. Now here we're going to do variables for used for interacting with other scripts. Private structure manager, current structure manager script. Okay. And then here, just give me 5 seconds, be right back. All right, there you go. Okay, so structure manager script equals holy shit, what's it called? Oh my god, I'm blanking out on the name. Okay, yeah. This placed list. There you go. Wait, dot get component structure manager. Boom. Right? Like that. Okay, so now we've set up, so access the current structures script, let's say. Okay, and now it's very simple. We literally do structure manager script dot resource production, and then structure manager script dot resource upkeep. Boom, that's it. That's it. It's that simple. And then finally reset this, and then bada bing bada boom, right? So yeah, so now let's set it up. Okay, let's first go here, script, oops, city builder. It's gonna be game manager. We're gonna add it to the game manager object. I'm gonna move up and move up. Let's say every 5 seconds it's gonna update, just to make it quick so that it's easy for us to see how many resources the player has. And now let's go back, hold on, let's go back to our player manager script, and we had update UI structure placement manager. Okay, so where, because I remember I was like, okay, player resources. Let's look. Can also check if player can afford it. Okay. Yeah, here we update the resources. Also update UI. Okay, also update resources. Okay, so this part here, this was temporary. I'm just gonna this part was placeholder before I had the resource prod / upkeep mechanics. There you go. Okay. All right. Okay, and now let's go here. Now, technically, out of all of the structures that I have, let's say prefabs, city builder prefabs, this structure here produces food. This one here produces lumber, right? But here, if you can see in their costs, they cost all 5 resources, right? So instead, what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm gonna keep it simple and stupid. Hold on. There you go. We're putting a value of 0 on everything. There you go. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And so this one here, it's gonna be, so this is population. For now, we're gonna put 0 because we haven't set up the population mechanic yet. But here for element 1, I believe it was food. It's gonna cost 0 food because it produces food. But it's going to cost, let's say 15 lumber, right? And then here we're gonna say this costs 5 lumber and 5 food, okay? And then let's see. And then here in the void start, let's do temporary code to give player some starting resources. Okay. So we're gonna say player resources list dot 0 is gonna be plus equals 100. Okay. There you go. So I'm gonna give 100 of each. Fuck's sake. 100 of each resource, right? Okay. Like that. Come on. There you go. All right. Like that. And actually, you know what? I am going to make it so this population number is 0. Let's say it takes 10 people for both, right? It takes 10 population for both, right? And then, hold on. Here it's player CB, blah, blah, blah. Here when we go down, where was it? Where is the structure placement? Okay, here. Subtract sets structure's resources based on its costs. So hold on. So here we're gonna say player loses pop, but structure gains it. So we're gonna say if loop index equals 0, okay, we're gonna say players resources list like that, but current structure okay, hold on. Here we're gonna do gain access to the newly placed structures script. Structure manager equals newly placed structure object dot get component. There you go. This dot pop, this pop number plus equals this. Oh my god. There you go. Okay. Voila. All those hundreds are loans. You have to pay 50 times. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's see, in theory, if it works. Hopefully it should. Right. Let's go here. Select our game manager. I said select our game manager. Thank you. Okay. So let's see. Right now, our resources aren't changing, right? Because despite the resource timer ticking off, right? Let's put it at 50 seconds, right? Just in case, right? Our resources aren't ticking off simply because, okay, there you go. Okay, so now let's place some farms, okay? Let's place some farms. I can't place any farms here. Our resources aren't going down, so that's good. Okay, now I just placed a farm. And now see, our resources went down, okay? Now let's pause. Let's put this at 0. Let's put this back. Let's put this to 10 seconds, right? And let's see. Okay. 3, 4, 5. Now our food. So should be, holy shit. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's working. It's working. Our food went up, but our lumber went down because of the lumber upkeep, right? So now, quickly before we run out of lumber, let's build some lumber camps, right? 1, 2, 3. Can I build more? 4, 5, 6. Oh, right, because, well, yeah. Because I haven't set it up properly where like whether I can afford it or not, right? Oh, hold on. There you go. Okay, so let's reset this to 0. Let's put this at 10 seconds. Now let's see. Yeah, 2 more streams and this will be ready for early access, exactly. Okay, there you go. All right, so you see, so the upkeep works, the resource production works. It's all good in the hood, right? $70 early access. Yeah, and that's for the basic version, right? Because there's also the collector's edition and the ultimate edition and all that other bullshit. Ah la la. All these greedy bastards making like half-baked, shitty soulless games, pricing them so fucking high. It's crazy. But yeah, hey Pierce, glad you you're watching us at like, what is it, like 2 or 3 in the morning in Australia? There you go. Okay, so now the population mechanic. What I was thinking is da, 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 da. So hold on. So let's go back to our game manager here. Update resources, right? Like that, and then update total pop. Okay. You guys, I've been watching about 30 minutes. I woke up at 3 a.m. again. Holy shit. All right. Well, honestly, like I'm glad you're watching and enjoying the stream. Okay, so now I have created a script, right? Here in well, functions in my structure manager, which generate resources and make us lose resources based on the upkeep, right? But as you can see, there's nowhere am I generating new population and whatever, right? So the way I'm thinking of doing this is using the game manager script. So not necessarily the player manager, because since the game manager script is the one updating the resources for every single structure, right? Whereas the player manager script simply manages which new structures are placed, right? Because it controls the player's input, basically, right? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go here, we're gonna go all the way up here, let's say. Yeah, and okay, let me just check here. So here, core variables, okay, public integer total pop, okay. This contains every pop that the player controls, regardless of where it is. Okay, in this, what I mean by where it is whether it's inside of a structure or not, right? So here what it's gonna do is update total population, right? And then we're gonna say, so first here before the loop, we're gonna say reset total pop count. Okay, so total population equals 0. Okay, and then here we're gonna do total pop plus equals current structure dot this population number, right? And at the end of the loop, we're just gonna do total pop plus equals player manager dot resources list 0, right? So now let's go back here. Okay, so here we have our total population count. Initially it's 0 because it's not checking up for anything, right? Okay. Oh, fuck. Of course it's giving us a water world. Okay, no, good. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's place. Can I? What? Oh, fuck's sake. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now here it says that the player only has 20 population left because I put 10 and 10, so 10 and 10, I think. Or what's the cost? Let me see. What's the cost again? Yeah, okay, 10 population per farm, so that's 20, and then another 20 unless. Yeah, okay. All right. So here it says we only have 20 population left. I don't know where, because I've only used 40, so I don't know where another 40 disappeared to, but whatever. So let's say up here. Here it says 60 basically. Okay. So basically we have 60. It makes sense, right? Because here I have 20 left. And then each structure contains 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40 plus 20, boom. So you see here we have like a 20 population or whatever, right? Okay, there you go. It's not water roll, it's fuck's sake. Oh, Jesus. Ah la la. Okay, so now we have this. And now for stuff like population happiness, population morale, stuff like that, there are so many different ways of doing this, right? Because here's the thing, right? For these types of mechanics, okay, I'm really trying to think. For mechanics such as population morale, it really works like any other type of resource, right? The idea is you have your game manager, which is like this big like godlike script which like monitors everything more or less, right? This script here is supposed to like the logic behind this script is because it's the game manager, it should be the script that in theory can access any other script. Because here's an example, right? Like if you're a structure manager here, as you can see, I'm barely interacting with any other script, right? Like I put a game manager script, but I never do anything with it, right? But the game manager script is like civilization counters unhappiness with luxury resources. Well, yeah, exactly, right? So that's my point. So my point is, once we get into more what do you call it? Once we get into more um, like intricate and like specific mechanics, it just becomes variants of what I've shown so far, right? So the idea here, like again, let me just show you. Let's say kingdoms and castles. Oops, happiness. Okay. Happiness. Okay, there you go. So when you select happiness, fuck, the image quality is not that good. Here, let me see. Okay, here I hope you can more or less see it, right? Here they coded, yeah, bread and circus is regarded exactly. So in this game, they coded it where like you can press a button and it changes the material on each structure to show how happy they are, right? And so basically at this point, their proximity to any structure like a well and a church, then that increases their happiness, right? If, however, they or like a bakery or a tavern, right? If, however, they're next to like an industrial building, right? Like maybe a forge or a charcoal kiln or whatever the fuck, right? then like the pollution, the noise, all that type of stuff is going to. Oh, I saw that mechanic in Marinals. Yeah. Hey Sam G, by the way, I'm glad you've joined the stream. But yeah, basically the way they're doing this mechanic is based on proximity, right? Which I mean, do you guys want to see me create this mechanic? Because it's honestly it's really basic. It's just what I've done so far already with this, but now you add a proximity detector, right? So basically, when you build a structure, so I guess when you go into the what's it called, the player manager script, and you're looking to place a structure, right? You're going to have a specific thing that detects all other structures nearby, and then it determines what the happiness level is, right? So like for instance, okay, here's an example, right? Structure, resources variables here. We're gonna say public integer happiness modifier equals -1 used to affect happiness levels. Okay. And then okay, public int this happiness level. Okay, let's say 0. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you how to do this mechanic, just to give you an idea of how you can do dynamic updates, right? Maybe use proximity to determine border extension from the buildings you placed in the map. What is it? Jesus Christ. We're not deporting anybody, okay? This is a humanitarian channel, okay? We don't deport anybody. Unless you're brought. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, okay. So let me explain to you the logic here, okay? So the happiness modifier used to affect nearby structures happiness levels, okay? Here we have this structure's happiness level, okay, which is at 0. And so the idea is a structure cannot be affected by its own happiness modifier, right? Instead, it can only be affected by every other structures, right? So once again, because the logic here is incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? This is the type of logic that once again it affects everything, right? Like you need to access a bunch of other buildings dynamically and stuff like that, right? We're not gonna have every single structure do this, right? Instead, we're gonna go into the game manager, right? And we're gonna create another function that goes through every single structure and shares its happiness modifier with every other. Why am I doing it this way? Because if we only ever check for the happiness modifier when we seek to place a structure, then it's not going to reflect the final state, right? So like if we go back to the thing I closed earlier, I think that's, no, fuck. God damn it. Hold on. Where is it? No. Google. Do I have it open? Oh, yeah. Okay, I already have it open. Jesus. I was wondering, I was like, why can't I see? Okay, so here, as we can see, right, most of these buildings are either green or yellow. So we assume yellow is like neutral. They're neither happy nor unhappy. Whereas green is like they're actually happy, right? If this is only ever calculated at the moment where you place the building, where maybe you place the buildings when there were all these churches and amenities nearby, right? But then you can easily remove these and change them with a bunch of industrial buildings, and the happiness is never going to get updated, right? So in other words, if you want to have it be dynamic, it needs to happen similar to our update resources function here, right? So what I'm gonna do is, and again, reminder here, public, when it's public, it allows other scripts to also use the function. That's why here, for resource production and resource upkeep, I can use it from the game manager script, right? To tell it to do these functions, right? These two functions. So this is just a reminder. Okay, so here we have public void equals update happiness. Okay, public void update happiness. Okay, so now what we're gonna do here is update happiness. Right, and now before finishing, but after having updated the resources, update the happiness. There you go. And then update happiness. Boom. Easy. So see, now with only one timer, I get to do two functions, basically. Okay, so now here in the update happiness thing, we're once again going to access every single structure, go through every single structure that currently exists, and update and give their happiness to any nearby structures, to any other nearby structures, because again, they don't affect themselves, right? So here, access the current structure script, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, instead of doing this, here we're going to remove this code here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say go through every other structure and check to see if it's within this structure's happiness radius. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our structure manager here, like that, happiness modifier, then public float happiness radius f. We put f at the end to remind ourselves that it's a float, and we give it a value of -1 to remind ourselves in the Unity inspector that we need to change, to manually add a value to this and this, but not this, right? Again, this is just a personal, for those who are watching my streams for the first time, this is just a personal, again, I forget the word, but like a personal way of doing things, right? When I see in the inspector here, when I see a value of 0, I'm like, okay, I don't touch it because it's going to update itself. If I see a value of -1, it means, oh, you need to manually set it up before you you activate the game, basically, right? Okay, so now we have happiness radius here. We're going to go back to our game manager script, okay? And now we're going to do another for loop, right? Loop index 1, 0, loop index 1 is lower than this player. Again, we're going through the exact same structures placed list dot count loop plus plus. There you go. And now, hold on, let's go here. Private structure manager, other structure manager script. Okay, there you go. And now here, I'm gonna say access the other structures script, meaning we don't access the same structure twice. right? In other words, we say if this player manager script dot structures play. Well, actually, okay. This if statement, I could do it the long way here, which is loop index 1 is not equal to this player blah 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 dot structures place list the loop 0, right? Again, like this is very long, right? Instead, literally what I could do is this. If loop 1 is not equal to loop 0, then check this. Why can I do it so simple, right? Because both of these loops are the exact same loop. Both of these loops are literally the exact same, right? Like if I were to do this, well, in theory, it should show me every other thing that's like highlighted, right? But let me show you, right? Like that, like that, like that, right? So it's the exact same loop. So because it's the exact same loop and we're gaining access to the script of the structure that is at this index based on the loop index, right? Well, all we need to do is, in order to avoid accessing the same structure so that a structure doesn't give itself its own happiness, right? Then we just say, well, make sure that loop 1 and 2 have different values, right? So if loop is 0, then make sure that loop 1 isn't 0, right? And now here, we're just gonna copy paste this like that. And all we're gonna do is change this from current script structure manager to other structure manager, right? And now here is where we're gonna detect stuff, right? So if we remember correctly, where was my tower manager script? This is the script from our tower defense prototype, right? Here it's yeah. So check to see if the current target enemy object is still within detection range and radius. Because we don't care about the radius, right? We only care, like, we don't care about whether or not they're within a specific angle of each other. We just care about whether or not the structures are nearby one another, right? Literally, we're just going to copy paste this code here as a reference point, right? Like that. And now we're going to do vector3. This is a temporary vector3 variable. Direction between structures v3 equals, we're gonna say other structure manager dot transform dot position minus current structure manager dot transform dot position. Okay, and now to make it more readable, I'm just gonna do like that, right? So now it's just easier to read because I'm zoomed in, right? Like if typically I'm zoomed out like this. Like this is how I code usually. So it wouldn't be a problem for me to just see the whole line like that, but because we're not zoomed in, right? I mean, because we are zoomed in, there you go. All right, this is to have an easier time reading it. Okay, so now we have this. Now float distance between structures f equals equals structures v3 dot magnitude. Okay, so find distance between both structures, okay, like that. And now apply happiness modifier when eligible, or when able, right? Zoom definitely makes it easy. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So if distance between structures is lower or equal to current structures dot happiness radius, right? So hold on, let me just. Okay, so let me just fuck. Bro, like my brain is constantly thinking about a million different things at the same time and I keep getting distracted by myself. It's insane. Okay, hold on. So here, okay, we found the distance. Yeah, and now we check if the distance. Okay. I remember what I wanted to say. So basically here, again, reminder, because we're comparing two different structures, but they're basically the same type of script, right? We have our current structure script, which is taken from the initial loop, and then we have our other structure script, which is taken from the second loop. Okay, let me show you what I mean in Paint. Okay, so let's say the red here is going to be loop 1. Okay, loop 0. Okay, loop 0, and then the blue is going to be loop 1, right? The way it works is that for 0 here, we go through we go through loop 1. Okay, hold on, like 1 0 1 2 3 4 5, etc., right? So here what we do is, because this is 0, we ignore 0, right? So we go here like that, right? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, this one isn't in range. Yes. Oh, this one isn't in range, etc., etc. Then for 1, we do, oh, this one isn't in range. This one isn't in range. Well, this one we just don't do it. This one's in range. This one isn't. This one's in range, etc., etc. Like, you see what I mean? So that's how it works. So that's why you need to be careful to not use other structure, but rather current structure is happiness radius, right? And then because the distance is lower than the happiness radius, then you go into the other structure, right? And you do dot happiness level plus equals current structure dot happiness modifier. There you go, right? And that's basically how you update the happiness levels, right? So let's say like that. And again, like, we're keeping it simple, right? Like, I don't have any actual citizen structures in the prototype right now, just because, I mean, you kind of get the idea of how to make prefabs and structures and stuff like that, right? So once you've seen how I made these 3 structures, you can start creating your own and adding more and more, right? So let's go here. This here is a farm. I know it looks like a great farm. I know. But basically, happiness. Okay, so happiness radius. Hold on. It's not supposed to be. Let me just see. Structure manager. Yeah. -10. Okay, hold on. We're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. Okay. Now it should go from -10 to -1. All right. Come on, come on. No, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. All right, let's say the radius is gonna be 5, right? Or 10, I don't know, whatever. Let's say 10, basically. Or since it's minus, no, we're gonna say 6. Because since the dimensions of a tile is 1.5, it should go over 4 tiles, more or less, right? And a farm's happiness modifier is going to be 1, whereas a lumber mill's happiness modifier is going to be -1, right? So now let's activate the game, right? Let's Unhappy by default. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay. Okay. Let's wait for it to. All right. Okay. All right. So now let's place one here, and then, or actually, fuck. Okay, hold on. Like that. Okay. Now let's press pause. Okay. Let's click on. Hello? Oh fuck. I'm stupid. Okay, let's click on this structure. Let's see happiness level, okay? Okay, see? So the happiness level now is 1, right? Happiness radius is this. Happiness is 1. Oh, fuck, hold on. Not this. This one, happiness level is -1. Okay. But hold on. In theory, this one should receive +1, and this one should receive -1. Right, let me see. Happiness modifier plus equals happiness. Oh, fuck, I'm stupid. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I need to add something because I forgot to reset. Okay. So let me explain to you what one of the errors that I saw is, okay? Is that the logic here is first based on this timer, okay? We update the resources, right? Then once we're done updating all the resources, we update the happiness. The problem is because I'm doing plus equals, right? The idea is that we add the different values, right? Of the different happiness modifiers to every structure's happiness level. The problem is nowhere do I reset it. So in theory, if I had kept going for several rounds, the happiness would constantly like go up or down infinitely, basically, right? So here, the last thing I need to do here is player map. Okay, no, hold on, not here. It's here. Lastly, reset current structures happiness level. Okay, current structure dot happiness level equals 0. There we go. That way it's reset to 0, and now we're checking to see, right, how it is here. Okay, let's see. Okay, like that. Let's press play. Hopefully it's gonna give us a bunch of resources that are very close to one another, right? Ah, fuck's sake. Oh boy. Of course. Okay. Okay, yeah, okay, here's good. Yeah, okay, here it's perfect, actually. Okay, so let's say we have 1, 2, 3, and then let's add. Ah, fuck's sake. It's not letting me because I don't have enough food, or in theory I should have enough lumber. Okay, there you go. Okay, all right, so now let's press pause. Let's see here. Done. Okay. All right, so now where are we? We are here. Okay, so now let's look. Okay, let's go all the way down here. So here, let's see this one. Okay, happiness level -3. Okay, so -1, this. Okay, and then -3, -3. And then this one's happiness level is +3. Okay, let's let it play some more every 5 seconds. Well, yeah, so every 5 seconds it should be getting updated. Now let's see. Is it going? Okay, so now it went up to 4. Right? Okay, interesting. Okay, so why? Happiness modifier -1. Now this one went to -4. Hold on. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Holy shit, I'm stupid. Okay. Wow. All right. If loop index is not equal to loop index 0, right? Other structure is loop index 1. Ah la la. I am a goddamn retard. I am a fucking brain dead moron. Oh my god. But you see what I mean? These are the types of stupid bugs you're gonna see. Basically, I had copied the exact same line. So basically, here I did the exact opposite, basically, right? It's so stupid. But basically, I said like whenever the current, so whenever the other structure is not the same as the current structure, set up the other structure script to be based on the current structure script, right? So that's why it was kind of doing the job halfway there, right? Like we had 3 lumber mills and 1 farm. So in theory, the farm should get -3 happiness, whereas the lumber mills should each get -2 because they get, or -1 actually, right? So hopefully now we can reproduce this experiment and it's actually gonna work. Oh my god, that's such a stupid mistake. But that's like the story of my life. Like 95% of my bugs are from stupid mistakes like these, right? Okay, so let's go. Okay. All right. All right, okay, here it's perfect. Okay, now let's quickly, oh, come on. Let me place a fucking, oh my god. Why is it not letting me place a okay, there we go. Okay, well, that's stupid. Okay, so let's go over here. All right. Let's just move this one like that. Oh, fuck, no, hold on. This one here. Let's move it to 1.5, 60, 1.5. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's move it like that, okay? And let's see in theory how much, okay? So it is within, let's put it like that, at 58.5 and 35. Okay. 35, is it 35.5? No, it's 34.5. There you go. Okay, so here, hold on. Here we have 2 lumber mills and 2 farms, right? The total happiness level is -1. Why? Because it's getting -2 from the farms and +1 from the other farm. -2 from the lumber mills and +1 from the other farm. This one, same thing. And this one is getting -1 from this lumber mill, but +2, right? So exactly. So now let's see. here, if we add a third farm, right? Well, let's wait a couple seconds, right? Okay, now it should, yeah, there you go, it updated. So you see what I mean? So now the happiness level is at 0 for the farms, and it's at +2 for the, what the fuck are they called? The lumber mills, basically. Wait, didn't you make the same mistake during the 4-hour grid line? Hey, listen. It's always those things, because like when you're going quickly and you're thinking about explaining stuff to people, it's just, you make such stupid mistakes, right? Because the thing is, while I'm working on it, a part of my brain is like, oh, don't forget to do that, right? But then I immediately start talking about something and I immediately forget to do this one last little thing. And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, what the fuck is it not working, right? But yeah, but anyways, learn from my mistakes, right? Like always check to make sure, and always think to yourself, if when you're trying to debug and to fix certain bugs, right? And you're thinking to yourself, oh, it can't be that, right? Like, the problem is definitely not on this line. It could never be. Then definitely check where you think it would never be. Because 90% of the time, that's where it is, right? Okay, so yeah, so that here is how you could do like population happiness. Shit, we're already past the 2-hour mark. So I think I'm probably gonna call it a day for today's stream. Tomorrow we're gonna finish the city builder prototype with by adding weather and events and stuff like that, right? Like mechanics like these. And then next week we're gonna start, next weekend rather. So on the 19th and 20th is when we're gonna start doing the what's it called? The RPG prototype. But again, because RPG is like a really, really, really big term, right? So basically, population mechanic done here to do tomorrow, and then this to do tomorrow, okay? And then next week, okay, next week, we're gonna do start RPG prototype. It's gonna be MOBA because that's the easiest type of RPG to make, right? Like we're gonna look at some basic AI pathing. We're gonna start adding, you know, like the minions moving in the different lanes, stuff like that, right? Obviously, that's gonna take some time, so it might not happen exactly next weekend. But next weekend, I'm probably gonna start doing the so we're gonna say next weekend character, so player character, movement, core gameplay, etc. And we're gonna see where we're gonna go from there, right? But the idea is, you know, the typical isometric like League of Legends type of stuff, right? Like if I go here, League of Legends, gameplay. See, yeah. So you know, like you have the minions fighting each other. You have the your hero moving around. Dragon these nuts. Yeah. So anyways, so you have like this stuff, right? We're gonna do the basics, and then eventually we're gonna add like the different minions. Eventually, I'm probably also gonna show you guys how to do some really basic animations in Unity, using the models we've imported from Blender that we're gonna create in Blender, and then we're gonna like animate them in Unity. Again, I have no idea when that's gonna be, whether it's gonna be on the first or second or fourth or eighth part of the MOBA prototype or whatever, but that's kind of the idea, right? I'm also gonna show you guys like proper UI stuff, right? Like with the abilities, with picking the items, etc., right? That's kind of the idea for next weekend stream. And then at some point this week, I'm not exactly sure when. Probably not on Monday, but at some point this week, I'm gonna start proper work on the visuals for my game, right? So if we go here in posts, I said here in the coming weeks or months, I'm gonna begin doing the for my game, like the actual galactic visuals and stuff. So probably at some point this week, we're gonna start doing the actual visuals together, and it's gonna be fun because you guys are gonna be able to, probably not on the first stream, but eventually you're gonna be able to like add your own like feedback, your own input, your own suggestions into how to make the what's it called, the like what you want in my game, right? Like, do you want a specific civilization to be somewhere? Do you want certain story things, like whatever, right? But we're gonna see all of this in due time. And so yeah, so that's the plan for next week and tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna oh wait, tomorrow I said this is done. This is done here. So tech tree mechanic, and then weather and events mechanic to do tomorrow. There you go. Yeah, sexy alien ladies. Exactly. But yeah, so that's the plan for tomorrow and for next week. Again, if you guys have any feedback, any questions, any requests, leave them in the comments. Also, hold on, I almost forgot to link the Discord. I have a Discord. It's really chill. It's really not like your typical Discord where it's like a cesspool of retards that are just like screaming at each other. It's really useful for game dev because I have a whole thing. Let me show you here, which is game dev resources. Like whenever one of us finds some resources, we just add them here. So it's mostly for Unity stuff, but it's still very useful, right? And also, if you want some behind the scenes stuff for my game that I'm working on, periodically, like obviously there hasn't been a lot, but as time goes on, I'm gonna be showing more and more stuff about my game. So if you're interested in that as well, then you can always join the Discord, right? Yes, it's a very, very kosher Discord. But yeah, so anyways, so that's the plan. Again, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time at noon, Eastern, North American Eastern time. And yeah, take care. Love you.